How's it going? Good. So welcome. I don't know if any of you are here for the very first time, but thank you for coming. This is our Power Up service. So we're super excited to be here, especially, and I congratulate everybody who's here the very first service after New Year's. I know, I feel so honored. So with that, I am going to step aside and let Kenny jam us out.
Jam us out. That's what I do. I jam. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much. So, with the new year, how many spent the weekend kind of contemplating some things?
Oh,
yeah. I think I love starting over, and I love the idea of a fresh new page. And this song is. Last year I had some stuff going on, and thank goodness I got music to get me through things. But I wrote this song as an anthem to move forward, and I love that it's come back to me right now at the beginning of a year to remember to keep looking forward, keep moving ahead, let go of what is, of what has been, and focus on what is. Sitting on an old trail, no one passing by, no one's there to hear me as I cry. And all the birds are singing, taunting me with songs as I'm lying hopeless, dead and gone. And you know where you're not here. And I'm nowhere, filled with fear. Lying all around me are pieces of the earth, life that's fallen down to find rebirth. Reaching towards the sunlight, trying to escape, to live beyond the rubble and the shade. In new life, it finds a way to keep growing and always change. I'm not going back to what I've known. The line's been drawn, yeah, I'm moving on. And I will not pretend to play the game. It's time to change. We were never promised a life without some pain. Well, even sunny skies send us rain. And all that we've been given is for us to choose what we want and what we've got to do. And I'm nowhere that I'm not meant to be. And I see it. I see my relief. And I'm running free. I'm not going back to what I've known. The line's been drawn, yeah, I'm moving on. And I will not pretend to play the game. It's time to change. I'm not going back to what I've known. The line's been drawn, yeah, I'm moving on. And I will not pretend to play the game. It's time to change. And we're nowhere we're not meant to be.
the line's been drawn. Yeah, I'm moving on.
Woo! I love it. I have Kenny in my car, and that's like one of my absolute favorite songs that I play while I'm driving. That's beautiful. Thank you. So this is our time when I am going to invite our practitioner up, and she is going to take us into our opening prayer and just kind of set the stage and the tone for everything. So I'd like to welcome up Trudy Semke.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. What a wonderful choice you've made to be here tonight in this cozy venue. It is a delight to have you and a delight to be here. And so if you've made this your resolution to show up tonight, welcome, welcome. May blessings just wash upon you, coming and going. So for right now, if you'd like to just join me in prayer, it's called an invocation, where we just simply, as Reverend Kim Jera noted, to set our tone. So just notice for a moment your breath. Notice how and who you are sort of melt away for just a moment. And begin to hear these words, knowing that you are indeed loved. And knowing that God, Divine Spirit, whatever you choose to call this undeniable source, it is everywhere present. It is indeed the love, the abundance, the joy, and the excitement of the heart and the soul. This is indeed the aspects of God which are so minor compared to what God actually is. For I know God is everywhere present, in my being, in my soul, in my very essence. And as I know this for me, I am knowing this for each one of you. That there is no place where God is not. And so I just rest in that feeling, in the knowing that I am being lifted and supported. And so as we unfold this evening, we do so knowing that it is blessed, and that unexpected things and beautiful surprises are waiting for you. In fact, there's still one more gift. It is a gift for you to receive, and all you need do is just open it while opening your heart. What a joy it is, and what a cozy Wednesday night. And so, Father, Mother, God, I am grateful for this. I feel the blessings, the gratitude of just being mindful and gratitude right here, right now, to be in the presence of you, seeing God in every face. And so I let this word be. I simply let it go. And so it is.
So with that, this is the time that we get to set our intention. And so what the goal here is, we're going to take the next minute, and I want you to go within, and I want you to think for yourself about what your intention is to get here tonight. You all decided to get out of bed, come here after work, whatever that looked like for you, and show up here. And so with that, there's something that you want to claim today. There's something that this talk is supposed to tell you. And so what does that look like? So with that, we're going to play a little meditation music, and we're just going to lower the lights and just take a minute. with that, I just invite you back into the space. And so what we love to do is see, is there anyone that's willing to share what their intention is for the service? You can just shout it out if you want to share. Wow, that's beautiful. Belonging, connectedness, and love. Love it. Anyone else? Yeah. Ooh, power in taking action. I love it. Mine was creation. Don't know why that came, but it did. All right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and just move into what my talk for today is. So I'm sure many of you saw in the program at Seaside, but my talk title today is called Embracing an Abundant New Year. Pretty cool, right? Embracing an abundant new year. I mean, to be here the second day after 2018 starts, and I have to say, like my 2017, not so good. That was probably one of the hardest years I've had. And it's one of those things that it is funny because it's one of those things where you're like, okay, yeah, I grew, I expanded, I had to make a lot of changes, and I don't ever want to do it again. All done. So 2018 is like a rocking year. I'm like, could not be more excited. Like, I feel like this is the year that like good stuff is like really, really, really ready to show up. So I'm very excited about the year. So creating an abundant new year, my thought was kind of taking us back to the basics a little bit and talking a little bit about there's three main laws within our teaching. Well, there's lots of laws within our teaching, but there's three of them that I want to talk that kind of to me relate to abundance, and that's the law of cause and effect, the law of attraction, and the law of circulation. So we're going to kind of explore those three topics. When I think of the first one, the law of cause and effect, lots of different quotes that you've probably heard or different sayings, the biblical one is, as you sow, so shall you reap. Heard that one before, some of you? Yeah, and then, what goes around comes around is another one that's pretty common. All of those are kind of describing the law of cause and effect. Ralph Waldo Emerson, who's actually very influential in the teaching of Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, he kind of describes the law of cause and effect more like a absolute balance of the giving and the taking. And he describes it as this process of almost a circulation, but a process of a compensation, of there has to be like a price that's paid, is the way he describes it, which I thought was kind of an odd terminology. But he says, okay, if we want to get the effect, so for example, we want to have a new job, then there's some kind of a price or something that we have to do that is part of that cause, which is we probably have to educate ourselves, right? We have to know what that job's going to look like, or what's it going to take to get that job, or do we need to go back to school and get more education in order to get that job? So that's kind of what he talks about. And he says, so we're paying this certain price. If we want to have more love in our life, right? Abundance can be lots of different things. We do think of it a lot of times in the financial aspects. We want to create more wealth. That's wonderful. But you also can want to create abundance in your love in your life and the loving relationships around you. Or you could want to create an abundance of time this year, right? Because that's something that we consider. So if you're trying to create, let's say, an abundance of love or a loving relationship, then Emerson would say, well, the process then includes that you've got to then act and be a loving, kind soul to everybody around you so that you attract that love into your life. Make sense? So that's kind of this idea that Emerson has, and he titles it kind of a compensation, but really what he's saying is that there is this something we need to do. And in Science of Mind, a lot of times you'll hear like treat and move your feet. Yeah? And treat being our spiritual mind treatment or our form of prayer. And it'll be, so we pray, but then we need to do something, right? We can't just pray for that amazing job, and if we have a high school diploma and the job requires a bachelor's degree, we could pray all day long, right? But there's something we might need to go get more education in order to get that job. There's a funny comedy little skit thing that I saw of, a man goes to God in heaven and he says, God, I've wanted so long to win the lottery. I've asked to win the lottery. I prayed every day to win the lottery, and you never gave me the lottery, and now I'm here, and I'm just disappointed. And God puts his hand on his shoulder and says, son, all you had to do was buy a ticket. Right? That's the something we have to do in order for the outcome to happen. Holmes, his famous quote, which is right here, change your thinking, change your life. Right? That's Ernest Holmes, the founder of our religious science. That was what he described as the law of cause and effect. You change your thinking, you change your life. Meaning that when our thoughts are in alignment with what we ultimately want, and I like to call that we becoming more aware, we're becoming conscious, we're living consciously, that's when the magic happens. So if we can change our thoughts to be in alignment with what we want, then we are actually utilizing this law to then produce the effect or the outcome that we want. It's a very conscious process. And so that's kind of the idea of what we want to do when we're moving through that law. The next law I wanted to talk about was the law of attraction, because it kind of goes right along into that. And that is really just what are you attracting to you? What is ultimately the thing that we are drawing into our lives through the process of our awareness and our thought, and what do we expect that to look like? Right? So we're trying to attract something to us, but there is a process and a law that is taking place. And what is underlying that is our attitudes and our belief systems. And I think that's a lot of times where we forget that we could do what Ernest Holmes says, and I really truly believe that Ernest Holmes didn't just mean change your thinking. He meant you got to change your belief systems. You got to have an underlying feeling within you of what that is ultimately looking like for you. It's not just a thought, right? Because we could think all day long. We do. We think all day long about all kinds of random things, but that doesn't mean that that's what manifests in our life, right? Those are just thoughts. But when you have a powerful feeling underlying that thought, then that's when creation's actually occurring. So we have to align our thoughts in order to access that power. And it's interesting because it can work in lots of different ways. You could go and you could say, let's say you want to buy a new car, but behind your mind, your underlying belief system is that you can't afford the car. Right? And you don't even realize, you're not even consciously aware that what you're thinking every day is, yeah, I don't think I really want this car, but it might be too much car for me. I don't know if I can really afford it. It might be more than I need. And those are the kind of thoughts like that are behind your mind that are going on. But yet in the outside, you're like, I really want this car. And so you go test drive the car and you get really excited. And it feels really good when you're in the car and you're like, dude, I want this car. Like, I am going to go. That's it. I'm buying the car, right? And one would say, well, you were in alignment. In that moment, you're in alignment, right? Because you're excited. But then you go sit down, and what happens? The guy comes back and says, unfortunately, we can't give you the loan. You can't afford the car. And so, and really, I think in that instance, it's what is your reaction to that? Because is your reaction a reaction of awareness, where you're like, yeah, I kind of thought that might be the case? Or is your reaction more of I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen, which is more like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So one's awareness and one's almost a victimhood of it. One is a conscious use of the law, one's an unconscious use of the law. Get that? And so that's what's interesting about the law of attraction is it doesn't always, it always works regardless. Both the law of cause and effect and the law of attraction works every time, all the time, because it's impersonal and impartial. And what that means is that it doesn't judge. Doesn't matter whether you're using it from a negative perspective or a positive perspective, it just acts. It just does what it does. So what you put into it, which is what Ernest was trying to say with change your thinking, change your life, what you put into it is what ultimately you're going to get out of it. But it's really about understanding that it doesn't matter what you put into it. Now, Thomas Troward, who is another one of the inspirational minds behind Ernest Holmes that he studied, he would say that when we're unconsciously using the law, what we're actually doing is we're part of what's called the law of averages. And when I learned about this, I thought that was a very interesting term, but what he's really describing is it's 50-50. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, you're unconscious, right? And so when you're unconscious, there's not an opportunity to create from a place of what you truly want. You're part of the law of averages at that point. One of my former ministers, Reverend Pat Campbell, who was somebody who really helped in my development and growth as I was growing up in this teaching and going through school and all the classes and everything, she gave a talk one time, and it has still to this day resonated with me, because I think a lot of times too, we want to control the law, right? We want it to show up the way we think it's going to show up, or even in other terms, sometimes it just shows up differently, and we're like, well, how did I ever manifest that? And I think that's where we have a disconnect in our teaching, that there isn't something necessarily that you're doing when certain things maybe don't turn out the way that you want. And let me give you this example. So she was saying she was driving down to a destination. I don't remember who it was or what it was, but I remember her saying all day long, she'd been saying, I have no time. I just don't have any time. Like, I feel like I'm constantly behind today, and I don't feel good, and I feel like I just don't have enough time. And she just kept perpetuating that conversation to herself. And as she was driving to this destination, lo and behold, she gets pulled over and gets a ticket. Now, one would say, did she create the ticket? See, I don't think she created the ticket. Nothing in her was like, I want to get a ticket today, right? We don't think that way. Things happen in our lives because we're unconscious of using the law. And in that moment, she was unconscious that she was constantly sending messages to the universe of, I don't have enough time. So what ultimately happened? She created a moment where she was now 30 minutes more late. She really didn't have enough time. She might have only been a few minutes late or 5 minutes late. Now she was 30 minutes late because she got pulled over and got a ticket. So I love that story, because to me it shows that things that show up in our lives, we don't want to get down on ourselves for it. We don't want to get disappointed. We don't want to beat ourselves up. We want to become aware. We want to open our eyes. We want to say, okay, universe, that if that was situation would happen to me today, I'd be like, ha, got it. Like you get it. You're like, I don't have enough time right now. I don't have enough. You're right. Okay, funny God. But you're now aware, and you can create differently in that moment. And you can now say, you know what, I'm going to change my thinking in this moment, and I'm no longer going to make that my motto for the rest of tonight or in the future, because I don't want to have something unexpected happen again that shows me that I'm right. Let's see. So using the law consciously is really where we're at. And so when I look at the law of circulation, I think that's the one, for me, that we can be incredibly conscious around, more often than not. The law of circulation, that's the flow, right? That's your flow of energy, your flow of money. A lot of times is what we think of it. That's the way I think of it. It's the flow, and it's the flow knowing that there's always something going out and there's always something coming in. It's think of it as a circle. It's constantly moving. Something's coming in, something's going out. Something's coming in, something's going out, right? When you're living in the law of circulation and you're really trying to create, then the best thing you can do is you can give. And especially if you want abundance in your life. I cannot stress enough how important it is to release. See, we want to hold on. We want to hold on because holding on feels safe. When there's not what you want to have in the bank, you want to hold on. But what you actually need to do is let go. Because that's when the universe knows that you get it. And you're in alignment with the law of circulation. My mom taught me something. She taught me something growing up. I was born and raised in this teaching. And one of the things that I thought was very profound was every time my mom writes a check, even to this day, She writes TYG or TYU on it. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe. Has some of us do that? See some nods. Good. So she was a checker at a grocery store at Vons as I grew up. I think she made like very little money, like $25,000 a year, and raised me in an upper middle class area. I have no idea how she did it, but she did it. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful. And you know, she only had a 7th grade education. She just, you know, she was full Hispanic, didn't speak English very well. And so she was doing the best she could, but the one law she really understood was the law of circulation, because she never didn't have what she needed. And it was because she understood that every time she gave to the gas company, every time she gave to the server at a restaurant, or she wrote her check for the mortgage, that she was participating in a fundamental law of the universe. As she gave that money, those people got to prosper. They got to then take that money and pay their bills. And then they got to circulate that. See, we all have a choice in life in how we choose to show up within the law of circulation. And again, they all three go together. The cause and effect, the middle one, attraction, and the law of circulation. All three go together. And the reason they go together is because there's this fundamental circulation that's happening, and the law works every time, impersonal, impartial. It just does what it does. So when you're in alignment with it, you're constantly in the flow. So what I love about what she did was she stepped into her power and didn't even realize that she did, other than the fact that she knew that every time she gave was a good thing. And then she received, and she also celebrated like unexpected income that came in. She really celebrated that when something random would come in, a tax check that she didn't expect to have. And it didn't matter how small or how big, she celebrated that. And looking back, I can see why she always seemed to get through, because at where she was participating. And she was participating consciously and feeling good about it. So Deepak Chopra says giving and receiving are just different aspects of the same universal flow of energy. I really liked that because I think that fit right perfectly in what we're talking about. And what he believes is by giving, we actually become more abundant. And it doesn't matter how you choose to give, whether it's tithing, whether it's your bills, whether it's gifts to people. I know for my kids, one of the best traditions, and we just had it, and it brings tears to my eyes every single year. My children's godparents, they come down every single Christmas, usually like the first or second week of December, and they take the kids shopping. They do a movie day, a lunch, and a shopping. But what they're buying is they're taking each of them individually, and they're buying gifts for everybody else in the family. So all three kids buy gifts for mom and dad, and then their sister, brother. And then when Christmas morning comes, honestly, it brings tears to my eyes, because the first thing they do after they open their stocking, because of course those are like out in the open, so they go do that, is they are racing to give the gifts they bought. And they do it every year. And this year, my son's almost 17, he's 16, but almost 17, my daughter's 14, my little guy's 10, and I watch every year to see, like, is it gonna shift? Because we do it where all the presents come out and go under the tree the night before, so like they don't know anything that they're getting, right? So you would think they would be like, where's my stuff? But they're not. They are more excited. I mean, literally, they run to, okay, unwrap it. Okay, do you like it? Oh, I totally thought you would like that. I mean, they're like beyond excited to see everybody else's reaction about what they got each person. And the receiving end of that is probably the most beautiful as well. It is by far the highlight of Christmas morning. The stuff they get, they're like, that's great, you know? But it's that reaction of what we say to each other, and we're like, oh my gosh, you got my favorite pajamas, I love it, you know? And it's not expensive, and it's not wild, but it's real. And my hope is that those are the kinds of things that as a society we can start implementing, because when we teach that, then we grow up as adults and we learn that, right? I wish I would have learned that growing up. I wish I would have had that tradition. But I'm hoping my kids will carry that on. So again, it's just a great example of how when we give, we feel so good. It's just fundamental. It's just part of what happens. So where can we give more? I think the best place to start is if you want more time, you've got to give time. If you want more love in your life, you've got to start by giving love. And that can be a hard one, right? Especially depending upon who it is that you're requesting that from. But you got to open your heart and you got to decide to be the one to give it before you might get it. If you want a great, healthy life in 2018, you got to give yourself the time to go to the gym, to go on a walk, to eat right? You've got to treat yourself to that and really think of it that way. Think of it that you're celebrating you in that. If what you're looking for is financial abundance, then that's something that you also have to start giving, and it can be anything. It doesn't. There's no value. The universe doesn't know value on anything. You can give $1, you can give $10. Or when, as you're giving throughout your life, because every time you're in, circulating your money, you're giving. Then be conscious of it, and then you'll start to see it. Just pay attention, because it will start showing up in really random places. I'll never forget my son. The first time he ever gave $5 at CSL Church. At that time, I want to say he was maybe like 8. And he just pulled out his own wallet and threw it in the thing as it went by. He gave his $5. That day he went home and somehow somebody had given him 50. And it was the multiplier of 10, which is what we talk about. And I remember celebrating that with him. Not that that's going to happen every time, right? And in that way. But how beautiful was that he got the actual demonstration, that it was wholeheartedly just given, and then it was returned in tenfold. So knowing that you're being conscious of that. And then participating. If you want to participate in the law of attraction, then you got to create that awareness with yourself. You got to be thinking of, what am I thinking? What are my beliefs under those thoughts? And how can I move forward in my life more aware of how I'm participating and co-creating with the divine? And so it is. All right. So we are going to move into our question and answer. And during this, Trudy's going to walk around with the mic. But if you guys have any questions, this is an opportunity for you to say, this came up for me during your talk, or this is something that I want to know, or here's just something I want to share, whatever feels right to you.
I have a question.
Okay, you have a question.
Not like it was planned or anything like that. But the question is organic. I'll give it that. Oops. I think I need to stand more over here. Feedback. I get stuck in my own negative thinking, and I'm not even aware it's negative. I'm just feeling yucky. Mm-hmm. What or who is it in this culture can help me get out of that funk? What people or thoughts, what tools can we use to lift myself back out of it?
Yeah, I would say, first and foremost, call a practitioner like Trudy and have a session. I think a lot of times when we're in our funk, there's something that needs to be resolved, and we're just not aware of what that is. And so it's blocking. It's fundamentally blocking. And so sometimes to move forward, sitting in quiet contemplation or meditation is huge. Probably, actually, since Kyle Cease was here, I don't know, many of you were here when Kyle Cease was here, but since then I've been meditating for an hour every morning. And I've always meditated, but not that long. And it's changed. It really has fundamentally helped a lot. So those kinds of things. Talk to a practitioner. Do meditation. Ask friends for support. All of those things. Anyone else? Look at the beach. Oh my God, that's my heaven place too. Do you like looking at the ocean? Yeah.
So I'm going to
it's a
just
good one.
nonchalantly walk down here. Jenny has one over here.
Yeah,
Oh, do you have one? Would you like to go first?
James, behind you.
Oh, I thought you were raising your hand.
No, when you started talking, it reminds me of this quote from Mother Teresa that says, prayer without action is nothing.
Yeah,
So it just reminded me of
beautiful. Prayer without action is nothing. I love it. Yeah.
So, in the giving part, if I give just for the sake of getting something back, how does that spiritually affect the givingness of it?
Yeah. So it doesn't work. You can't give to get. And that's a great point, Jenny. That's part of that. That is part of that law. And we have to give unconditionally. And you have to give knowing that you're not in control of how it comes in return. So sometimes when we give financially, all of a sudden some friend calls us out of the blue that we hadn't talked to in years, and we reconnect, and it's the most beautiful feeling in the world, right? And so you can't, tell the universe that's how you wanted it to show up. Only God knows how it's supposed to show up. We just have to trust. Yeah, that's a great one. Any others that want to share a comment? Okay. No, it's totally fine. All right. So with that, we are going to move into Kenny's song.
So I've been doing a lot of meditation too. Not an hour. That's impressive. It's very impressive. I'm the one that when someone says let's meditate, and I'm like, okay, sure, let's do it. I had the opportunity very recently to see Malika Chopra speak, and there were about 500 people outside. We were standing up. It was an open air space, and she said, "I'm going to lead us through a meditation." I was like, "Great, perfect." My favorite thing. And what she said was, she just repeated the words over and over, "I am." And whatever started to bubble up, let it come, recognize it, acknowledge it, and let it go away. She said, "We're going to do this for 5 minutes." And I'm like, 5 minutes of I am? What is happening right now? There's a lot that happens when I meditate. So we go through this. I am. I am. I am. And of course, at first, it starts pretty surface, right? I'm a daughter. I'm kind. I'm a good friend. But then, after I started to drop in, like every single time that I meditate, when I can get past myself and really drop into my breath, that's when the real things, that's when those words started to bubble up. And I love this meditation so much now. So much. I put it into music because that's kind of what I do. But I found a way for me to get out of my head and to drop in to find some really, really the hard stuff, the really deep stuff that we wanna work out. So this evening, I'm gonna go through this meditation, and if abundance is what you are, then let abundance be this meditation for you. But I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and lift your palms up on your thighs, open, ready to receive.
see the trees. I hear the streams. And when the birds ask me to sing with them, I sing, I sing, I
And I'm going to invite everybody to just stay where you are, because we're going to move into a process. And as you're there, in that beautiful space, that sacred space, wherever that looks like for you, look around. Maybe a beach, could be a forest, wherever you feel safe. And I want you just to ask yourself, where in my life can I create more abundance? What must I think or feel or believe in order to call it forth? Is there anything that needs to be released in order to allow me to be open to the abundant good in my life? And is there anything more that I need to know for this creation to manifest? And when you feel ready, you can come back from your sacred space and gently open your eyes. You see, everything you need to know is right within you. That's the beauty of what we know and what we learn here and what we get to experience every day, is that ultimately we are co-creating our lives every single moment with Spirit. And I could not have planned better that beautiful intro where you really got to get in touch with that part of you that knows. See, there's this beautiful process that's always taking place. And you can go back to wherever you went during that beautiful I Am song and through the conversation we just had with yourself. You can go back there at any time and allow yourself to get your questions answered. Because we think a lot of times that the things that we want or that we need to know come from outside, but they always come from within. And so with that, my wish for you this week is, as you go through this week, that you take some time to go back to that place and ask yourself again, what would abundance look like for you in your life? Ask yourself again, is there anything that you need to release or let go in order to make it happen? And is this experience, this life that you're living right now, exactly where you want to be? And so with that, I'd like to open this up, and we're going to move into the offering. So if I could have my ushers come forward, that would be lovely. Yay! All right. Oh yeah, totally. With this, I just know that there is this divine presence of God. This essence of everything, it is omnipotent, it is omniscient, it is powerful, it is filled with all of the love and the peace and the joy that is the expression of each and every person that is here today. I know and I claim in this moment that every single source of circulation, of flow, of energy, and of financial abundance goes out into the world and prospers. And so I release this and let it go. And with that, if we can repeat our affirmation of abundance, this gift I give is God in action. I give it in joy. I give it in love. I give it in gratitude for all the good in my life, and so it is.
I give with joy. I give with peace to those around me. I give with love to all I see, because everything I need I have within me. I give with joy. I give with peace to those around me. I give with love to all I see, because everything I need I have within me. Oh, everything I need I have within me abundantly.
That was awesome. Thank you. So this is the time when we usually get to talk about any aha moments that we had. Is there anything, I know the holidays just kind of came through. Is there anything that has shown up for you guys in the last couple weeks? Anything you want to share? Any great moments of wisdom or clarity? Yeah. I love this part. Okay, give it to me, girl.
I'm a list maker and a goal setter, and I love to check off boxes and make lists. And I found in 2017, I was on track, and I did all of these things, right? And then I look, and all of my lists are completed, and my goals have been met, and my boxes are checked. And now I have this blank page in front of me, and as excited as I should be, I'm terrified. I feel really, really lost. And I'm not lost. I'm in a really, really great place. But I had lunch with a friend, and I said, I am so weirded out because I just don't know. I don't know the next step. I don't know the next goal. I don't know. And he said, it is okay to be in uncertainty. And I was like, nope. Not for me. But he said, it is okay to be in uncertainty, but keep yourself open Because in those moments when you're uncertain, if you have an open heart, whatever comes in front of your path, you're going to be ready to receive. So here I am again. I've been doing it all week. My palms up all week. I'm ready. Whatever it is that is supposed to happen, I'm ready. But this uncertainty, like living in this open uncertainty, whoa, it's hard for me, but here I am, ready.
Love it.
Ready.
So I call that living in the hallway. In the hallway. So I feel like you're sitting in the hallway and there's lots of doors, but you just don't know. You don't know which one to open, you don't know which one to go through, so you just sit in the hallway. And it is uncomfortable. But that's so awesome. That's such a great, just be open. Like, how do you know one of those doors is just going to open up and you're like, rock on, that's my time. I love it. Anyone else? Okay. So we're just going to go into prayer. And just knowing and thanking this divine God, this energy, this force of all, claiming our good in this moment, and just being aware that we are here by divine appointment, that each and every one of us have shown up in this world at this time, in this body, in this family, to be the presence of God in action. And so it is right and perfect. It is of love and of light and of joy. I claim in this moment for each and every one of us that 2018 is a rockin' year, that we get to move into this year and have our most amazing expression of self, because God wouldn't have it any other way. And so with that, I just release with so much gratitude and love and expression for each and every one of you. You are my family, my people, and I know that I am yours, and together we are part of that oneness. And so with that, I just release it and let it go, and so it is. And thank you to Melanie and everybody in the back for the sound and the video. Trudy and Ginny, who just left, but thank you. And Kenny, thank you. And to all of you. And with that, we will all stand and do our closing congregational song.
Yeah, I got an easy one for you. I know. I've been giving you some tricky ones. This one's super simple. Really, really in theme with what I may be going through. I am open. I am open. I am open to receive. I am open. My heart is open. I am open to receive. I am open. I am open. I am open to receive. I am open. My heart is open. I am open to receive. Repeat that one more time. I am open to receive. One more time. I am open to receive.
Thank you. You gonna join us in the back for cookies?
Yes, I do.
You too want to take her in your car.